Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your GE washer won't fill with water, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Good news is most of these problems are way simpler than you think, and you can definitely save yourself some serious money. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So the number one cause is something that costs $0 to fix. Clogged inlet screens. I had this customer last month who was convinced her control board was fried because the washer was completely silent. Turned out she had black gunk completely blocking those little screens inside the water valve ports. Here's what happens. Your house water carries sediment, calcium, rust, little bits of sand from old pipes. Over time, that crud gets trapped in these mesh filters and boom, no water flow. Now here's where it gets tricky. Flood-safe hoses. These auto shut-off hoses are supposed to prevent floods, but they trip constantly on washers because of the sudden water demand. I've seen this fool people into thinking their valve is dead when really the hose just shut itself off. Here's your diagnostic test. But first, unplug your
You're
washer
ready.
and shut off the water valves behind it
And
for
I will loosen
safety.
and remove
Then
the second
disconnect both
fitting.
hoses at the washer, aim them into a bucket, and
And
turn the
again, in your
faucets
case,
on
yours
full
will.
blast. If you get strong flow, your house supply is good and the problem is inside the machine. Pull out those screens with needle nose pliers. If they're black or crusty, that's your culprit. Clean them with an old toothbrush and some vinegar. Takes about 15 minutes and costs nothing. Way cheaper than the $200 service call I would have charged that lady. If your screens are clean but you're still not getting water, we're looking at valve failure. This is probably about 25 to 30% of the no-fill problems I see. Here's the deal. Those solenoid coils inside the valve get energized thousands of times over the washer's life. Eventually, they either burn out electrically or the mechanical parts seize up. I remember this guy who called me panicking because his washer was humming but no water was coming in. That humming told me the valve was trying to work but couldn't open mechanically. Now, here's where most people mess up. They assume if the valve isn't buzzing, the control board must be bad. Don't make that mistake. The board won't send power to a valve if other safety systems haven't checked out first. Here's your test. You'll need a basic multimeter which costs about 15 bucks at any hardware store. Set it to resistance mode and touch the probes to the solenoid coil terminals. Good coils read between 1000 to 1500 ohms. If you see OL or infinity on the display, the coil is broken open. If you see
Position.
zero, it's
Once set the
shorted out.
position, slide the
Either
assembly
reading
back
means
to
you
align
need
the
a new
mounting
valve.
holes.
Either way, you're replacing that
Insert the
valve.
O-ring.
These guys can't be repaired, only replaced. You're looking at about 30 to 120 bucks for the part, depending on your model. This one drives me crazy because it's the most misdiagnosed problem on GE top loaders. Here's what I see all the time. Customer calls, says their washer is completely dead, won't respond to anything. They're convinced the control board is fried and they need a $300 repair. 9 times out of 10, it's a $30 plastic lid lock. These newer GE washers won't fill a drop of water if they can't confirm that lid is locked. The plastic striker on the lid, that little beak that pushes down into the lock, snaps off or bends. When that happens, the machine thinks the lid is open and shuts down everything for safety. You'll know this is your problem if the machine clicks 3 times, then goes silent, or if you see the lid lock light flashing, but it never goes solid. Don't try to bypass these locks. These modern boards monitor the resistance and timing. They'll throw error codes if you mess with the wiring. Your best bet is to run the built-in diagnostics. On most GE top loaders, hold the start button while slowly rotating the cycle knob 7 clicks to the right. This puts you in service mode. Then select test 13 or 14 to specifically check the lid switch. The display will show pass or fail. If it fails, replace the whole assembly. It's a moderate repair. You'll need to get under that top panel, and those plastic clips can be brittle, but it beats spending 300 bucks on a control board you don't need. Here's something that surprises most people. Your washer might not fill because it thinks it's already full of water. The pressure switch system uses air pressure to monitor water level. There's a clear tube connected to an air dome on the side of the tub. When water rises, it compresses air in that tube and the switch reads that pressure. Problem is, soap scum and gunk love to clog up that air dome. When it's blocked, the trapped air makes the machine think there's water in there when the tub is bone dry. I had
If
this
it's locked
lady who
down
said her washer
inside
would start to fill,
there,
then immediately
blast it
drain
a couple
everything
times,
out. Turns out her air dome was completely plugged
and it
with
blew all
soap
the gunk
buildup.
right out of there.
Here's your test. First, unplug the washer for safety. Locate the clear plastic tube connected to the pressure switch. It's usually a small round component on the left side. Disconnect the tube from the switch end and gently blow through it toward the tub. You should feel easy airflow with no resistance. If it's hard to blow through or completely blocked, you found your problem. Clean out that air dome with a long screwdriver or coat hanger. Also check that tube for pinholes. If it rubs against the cabinet, it can wear through. That causes the opposite problem, overfilling, because the switch can't build pressure. This is another $0 fix if you catch it early. The control board is actually the least likely cause, but everyone blames it first. Here's the thing, that board is smart. It won't energize the water valves unless all the safety systems check out. If the lid lock fails, if the pressure switch is confused, if there's a motor overload, that board sits there doing nothing, protecting itself and your house from floods. Real board failure happens, but it's maybe 10% of the cases I see. Usually it's from a power surge or another component shorting out and taking the board with it. Your diagnostic test is voltage at the valve harness. Set the washer to fill. Check for 120 volts AC at those valve wires. If you've got good voltage but no water flow, it's the valve. If you've got
Be
0
positioned the
volts and all
control
your safety
panel by
systems check
inserting the
out,
tabs
then
into
you're
the
looking at
slots
a
in the
board.
main
These
top
run anywhere
and
from
slide panel.
150 to over $300 depending on your model. Don't guess on this one. Verify everything else first because once you replace that board, you own it. The inlet valve is your most common actual part replacement. You're looking at $30 on the low end for basic models, up to about 120 for the fancier units with multiple temperature mixing. Here's what you need to know. These can't be rebuilt or repaired. When they go completely. The whole assembly comes as one piece with both hot and cold solenoids. Don't try to find just the solenoid coils. Manufacturers don't sell them separately. Installation is moderate difficulty. You'll need to shut off water, disconnect hoses, remove a couple screws, and swap the wire harnesses. Takes about an hour if you're careful. Lid locks run from about $30 for basic models up to 90 for the fancy electronic ones. This is another all or nothing replacement. You can't just buy the plastic striker or just the switch. The whole assembly comes together. Now, here's where people get into trouble. Those plastic clips holding the top panel can be brittle on older machines. Work slowly and don't force anything. I've seen folks crack their entire console trying to rush this repair. If your clips are already damaged, you might need some plastic repair or replacement clips too. Factor that into your cost. Control boards are the big ticket item, 150 to over $300 depending on your model. Here's what drives me nuts. These are the most returned part in the appliance repair business because people guess instead of diagnosing. If you're wrong about needing a board, you're out serious money. Make sure you've tested everything else first. Also, these boards are serial number specific on GE washers. You can't just grab any board for your model. It has to match your serial range. Check that part number 3 times before ordering. And here's a pro tip. If your board failed because another component shorted out, like a bad pump or motor, you'll fry the new board too if you don't fix the root cause first. All right, if you're dealing with faulty parts, let's talk about what you're looking at cost-wise and what's actually worth fixing versus calling someone like me. The good news is most of these repairs are way more affordable than people think, and the parts aren't that hard to get. Here's my repair versus replace rule. If your total cost for parts and labor hits more than half of what a new washer costs, roughly $350 to $400, start shopping for a replacement instead. But here's the good news. Most of the fixes we just covered cost under $100 in parts, making them totally worth doing yourself. But for the common stuff we just covered, you're almost always better off fixing it. Now, before we wrap up, you can see right there on your screen the most common GE model families that have these no-fill issues. The GTW series top loaders are notorious for lid lock problems. Those plastic strikers just aren't built to last. The Hydrowave models tend to get pressure system clogs because people overdose them with detergent. Front load GFW series can throw you off because sometimes their inverter board failures mimic fill problems. Don't let that fool you into chasing the wrong diagnosis. And those compact Spacemaker units, man, they're sensitive to sediment in those inlet screens. If you see your model up there, pay extra attention to the specific failure patterns I mentioned. That's how you tackle a GE washer that won't fill. Start with those inlet screens. That's your highest probability zero cost fix. Work your way through the safety systems, test that inlet valve properly, and don't assume it's the control board until you've ruled out everything else. Remember, this failure pattern isn't unique to GE. Anytime you've got inlet screens protecting solenoid valves and safety locks controlling fill cycles, these same problems show up across all brands. The diagnostic logic stays the same even if the error codes are different. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your washer filling again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.